Tara Christie, President and CEO of Banyan Gold. Banyan is a Yukon-focused exploration company that already has a 7 million ounce inferred gold resource in the Yukon. We have existing roads, hydropower on the property, cell phone, amazing infrastructure in a jurisdiction where mines actually do get permitted and have been built in recent years. We're de-risking the project in 2024 towards PEA in 2025, and we're fully funded for 2025.
Tara, good to see you here.
Good to see you.
We're bouncing around the conference at the moment. Lots of meetings, lots of conversations.
We're flat out. No spare meeting slots at all.
Good. So we're lucky to have you. So appreciate it. Right. Okay. Tough year.
Yeah.
Tough year for me. Not of your own doing, but it's been a tough year. And you got it. I mentioned this conversation because I know you haven't got long. How are you dealing with it?
Well, I'm Banyan's separate company. We have
I get that.
Separate board of directors. We have been very focused this year on what our work is. We put out that new resource in the spring. Yeah, there was all the stuff that happened in June, but we continued on through that. We put together a really strong technical program with our drilling, our metallurgy, and we've been marching along, continuing to do that. We had a few other things like forest fires in addition to the stuff down the road. It wasn't an easy year. It was not an easy year, but we put every day we got up and got on with what we needed to do the next day.
Right.
We've drilled 16,000 meters. We've got lots of great met work that we're doing, both focusing on recoveries as well as understanding the key things that are working on the things that are really controls on operating costs and capital costs. So, my team's been tremendously focused. We financed in June. Yeah. We have a strong treasury because we have revenue generation. We've made over $1.5 million this year. So, that's kept us very busy as well.
How'd you make that?
Our rentals and also helping in the forest fire effort and other things. So, we're fairly clever in how we do that. And we expect to have revenue again next year, which sets us aside from juniors. So other juniors that are in the same
space. So if I look at that, you raised money just at the right time. I mean, couldn't have been more on the right side of that equation. Okay. So you're set financially. And I need to say this for people listening here. I'm not going to have a conversation about stuff that's out of your control. Okay. I want to have a conversation about how you dust yourself down and get on with it, because in terms of what you've got, it's pretty darn impressive. We loved it, we've loved it the last 3-4 years, or 3 years, I'd say. What are you going to do with that money, and how are you going to build yourself back up?
Well, thankfully, when you've got a strong treasury, you don't have to be panicking about your share price when it's not really about stuff that's related to you, because people understand the fundamental value. We're at $4 or $5 per ounce in a $2,500 gold environment with a asset that has strong metallurgical recoveries, options on that. We've got a really great technical program planned this year. And, we spent last winter doing some scoping studies. We updated the resource. All of that gave us information on how to focus our drill program this year. And that's why we raised the money. Actually, it was 90% of the money that we raised is to go to defining the AurMac project, drilling 20,000 meters, doing the met work. It's funding our PEA in 2025, more baseline environmental, all the things that we need to de-risk that. And that's continued on. We haven't missed a beat. We're at 16,000 meters of that program. We'll wrap it up by the end of September. That'll give us news flow well into 2025. We'll have our updated resource and then our PEA in 2025. Meanwhile, we still have money to do our exploration drilling. 10% of that money we plan to put towards pure greenfield and expansion drilling for the project. We've still drilled less than 5% of the property. We're waiting for our ZTEM survey, which really helps you target these intrusive type deposits, as well as some 3D geophysics and some soil samples. So some of those holes that are exciting targets might wait till next year, maybe spring, maybe summer. But we have lots of news flow. Banyan's got a great project, a great asset, and we're doing all the right things to advance it. And what I think will be a market where there's lots of people looking for projects that can be permitted and built that have the scale of resource that we have.
Well, let's come to that, because that's where I wanted to go. I'm going to park up the remaining drilling, the resource update, the PEA, all good stuff, all value creation events, right? I want to focus on the ability to do business in the Yukon. You said a couple times now that Yukon is where you can mine. Yukon is where you can build mines.
Yep.
Is that still the case?
Well, the Minister of Justice and the Premier are both on record on saying they want Victoria Gold back in production. That's been publicly said numerous times, and that they support mining.
Right.
They support valid mining permits, and that mining company should continue doing that. Even the chief of the First Nation, Nochanaik Dunn, has said that they support responsible mining in media. So, yes, I think it is. I think this is a very unique incident that has occurred. What it means overall for changes in permitting, we'll know after the report from the independent panel on what actually happened. And I expect there'll probably be some additional safety things that people have to put in at mines, and maybe some design changes, or I think there will be, but the minister's already said that that's only a pause on permitting mines. It's not banning heap leach mines.
Right.
It's not permitting all mines. It's permitting. It's a pause on permitting heap leach mines.
Right.
So, and thankfully, Banyan, some of our options, actually, the stronger ones, might actually be our gravity flotation and our mill option. And, with what's happened, and we know that the minister has actually said the premier have already said they've already been approached by mining companies for Victoria Gold. And we've always had the idea that we potentially had synergies with our two neighbors. That was kind of part of our, yes, could be a standalone mine. Yes, somebody could come in from outside and purchase us, or one of our two neighbors could purchase us. But looking at us in combination with Victoria Gold assets, the Raven deposit is just right up the hill from us. It's a logical that there would be a synergy with a mill being built on the flat infrastructure area where our property is. And that's really unique. Those two assets together is 14 million ounces, with one mine that could probably be in production in a year for 200,000 ounces per year. And maybe 4 to 5 years down the road, you could double or more that by permitting a second mining operation. So that is actually a really interesting synergy scenario. It's not our only scenario, because we've always put ourselves up as that this has the economics to be a standalone mine. And walking around here, there's lots of corporates who've done their homework on Banyan. So that is interesting to me.
Okay, so 7 million ounce inferred. You're looking to expand that. I think you talk in your deck about 10 million ounce potential, etc. And you've always done things the right way. We're standing on your own there. And I'm glad you phrased it like you did, because I was trying to work out how do I get this conversation around to, is there an opportunity in a situation like this? And what you're outlining is, well, potentially, yes, there is for your shareholders.
Absolutely.
Right.
Well, everybody knows about this, and that there's an asset sitting there with gold on the pad. Right. We also have all the people that are interested in the Newmont coffee project that are up in the Yukon looking at projects. There'll only be one successful bidder of that. And then what will the other people do? They'll have to look for another asset. So I think while there's been some negative attention to the Yukon, there's also some positive attention. This is a very well geologically endowed territory that has a history of mining. And, we're seeing some First Nations, like the Trontaquichin First Nation, actually said they support the coffee project and they support heap leaching. So I think it just needs a little bit of time for things to kind of settle out. Meanwhile, we're de-risking it. We think we have 10 million ounce potential. The work we're doing this year isn't solely focused on growth. It's on moving some of ours to indicated, really confirming our geological model to give companies more confidence that the high-grade zone where we believe the first 10 years of mining is there, that'll be part of the PEA. And that will add ounces. There are some holes. So, we'll see a nominal increase in the resource with the drilling we're doing. But we're also being very cautious. This market could take a while, and I'm a big shareholder. I care about my shareholders. So I want to make sure that our cash lasts us all the way through 2025 and even into 2026 if we need to, because we have a really strong asset, and in this gold market, it's valuable. At $4, $5 per ounce, there's risk for our shareholders if we deplete our treasury. So we are being very laser focused in how we are spending our money. We did a lot of work before we designed our drill program. Even as we're drilling, we're reevaluating and making sure that we are drilling holes that are really adding value, and the met work that we're doing, we're evaluating each step. You get a piece, okay, what's the next piece that's going to add value? Because that's important in this market, to show your shareholders you're not just running out and spending money.
Absolutely, okay, but you've got to be efficient. So you're sticking to the plan. You're financed through to end of next year to the delivery of a PEA, right? So people just need to remember that, okay? and you're not having to go out to market and raise capital for that. So there's no dilution effect. So in a kind of meaningful way, maybe shareholders need to look at it a bit like that, be quite cold about it. On the other side of the blue sky bit, because all stories need to be based on growth, right? Growth out of adversity, I think, where when you say we need to wait for certain things to happen, one, obviously the results of, whoever's doing the analysis on what happened and what caused it and what to do next, that's going to take some time. Are we talking months or years?
They said 6 to 8 months, so it's maybe a year if you go in a government timeline. But that's not going to slow down what we're doing
here. I get it. I'm all about. I see what you're doing, see where you're going, and see what you've got. And people need to remember that it's a darn good project, right? I'm being greedy now. I'm looking at upside.
Yeah.
Okay. Blue sky, which is not necessarily just something that is open to you. There'll be other people looking at this. As you say, Yukon, have all eyes on it, and how the government reacts, how the First Nations react, etc. But out of that situation, there's potential option for you, logical, given where the properties sit, that there could be something bigger to be had here. Is that what you look at and say, well, maybe if we do this right, if we time it right, we could be the beneficiary of that?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Right.
You got to think about that. Absolutely. How do you make the best of this situation, and what are the actual opportunities? You walk around here and some of the, like Rick Roll was saying, he loves distressed assets because there's so much opportunity in them. And so I think that's exactly the time when you need to be thinking about, the contrarian investor is the one that usually, the one that invests at the top is not the one that makes money. So we are looking for all kinds of opportunities, and there's probably other opportunities, and we are thinking about quite a few other things that might come out of this that would be beneficial to us and our shareholders. But that's how you have to think, right?
Right.
We've got lots of work to do. We're staying focused on our plan, but we're also got our heads up and paying attention to what's going on around us.
Interesting. Because I think obviously we can have a conversation about how a company, what are you, 50, 60 million now? The stuff that you're going to do over here in terms of drilling and resource and PEA, you will drive the value of that company back up.
Absolutely.
Heading towards where it was, right?
As companies ramp up to their PEA, they appreciate and value.
Yeah, so that's all kind of good. And then that puts you in a different position in terms of being able to take advantage of anything over this side of the kind of blue sky part of my conversation, because that takes financing and that will take...
Well, we have enough money to do some blue sky drilling. So our plan next year does include some additional drilling work beyond that won't be in the PEA.
Yeah, I know I should be talking all about you, but I get a little bit excited about it. Good luck, Rick Roll. I'm saying in situations like this,
there's opportunities.
There's opportunities, but there are opportunities at heavily discounted rates. And that's, I think, super, super exciting. If I'm a new shareholder coming in looking at you, that's what I'm thinking. You clearly know what you're doing. You build your own thing, and you have some knowledge of what's around you. So I just would look into the opportunities, really. So right, I'll stop daydreaming and thinking about the upside there. Okay, so Tara, sounds like you're off and running, laser focused on what you need to be doing. What are we going to hear about for the next sort of 12 months in quarterly time increments?
Oh, we'll get lots of drill results all the way through March.
Different types of drilling there. Some infill, some expansion.
Yeah, mostly infill. That we'll also have some expansion, focused mostly on power line, because that's where we really think the main mining pit is from all of our scenarios. But we're drilling on airstrip again. We haven't drilled on airstrip since 2020. We know there's high grade there. We reanalyzed it over the winter and really feel that there's some important targets there that we need to drill. So those will be expansionary as well as infill. But also remind people that deposit is actually significant. It was always smaller, but it's higher grade, 0.75. Yeah. We will have a few exploration holes that we drill as well. Metallurgy, as we get those results, we'll start to put some of them out. Like we'll have some results on our CIL, some more information on the gravity and flotation, and then some other information on things that, the technical guys really care about in terms of operating costs like hardness, et cetera, and capital costs. So that kind of news flow is important as we're working up to our PEA. We'll have our new resource. We'll start drilling again next year, have some new news flow from the geophysical surveys that we did this year and the soils on our targets that we've developed. We're going to use that information before we go out and drill those targets, especially since how precious money is. Let's use all the best information we can. We're doing some additional work on targeting where the intrusion is, partly from the geophysics, partly from some of the technical work, looking at minerals and temperature gradients in the deposit. That is also pretty exciting. People always ask, where's the intrusion? Having some more ideas on that would certainly be useful as well. And then, of course, our PEA will come out, and then we'll probably have drill results from the drilling that we do next year through the winter of 2025 and into 2026.
Okay, Tara, appreciate you making time for us, because I know you're much in demand. So it was good to see you as always, and stay in touch. Let us know how those things progress, okay?
Thank you very much. It's going to be a good year for Banyan. From here, we've got lots of upside now.